let's talk about Phantom of the Opera. So, this has been one of my favorite stories since I was 10. And it was something that I got into when I actually went to go see an occupational therapist, which is somebody that you go see when you need help with your hand motion. And it was something that really helped me a lot um, because I have cerebral palsy, mild cerebral palsy. So it really does, it really did a lot of good for me and still does a lot of good for me to do things like that, to exercise my body. And so, anyway, during one of the sessions, my therapist said to me, "Hey, I have this book. I don't know if you might be interested." But I said, "Sure." I was about 8 to 10, maybe, and it wasn't something that at that point I was at the level that I could read that. Um, but I kind of looked at it and I was like, "Ooh, this looks interesting." And then maybe like a couple months later, when I was looking at some of the books, they had a book called Step Up Classic Chillers, and that was a sort of a kidified, young adult version of the story. And so I remember being so interested in it and reading it multiple times. I read it once in math class, and even it got so bad that they actually took the book away from me at one point. And then in elementary school, a couple years later in fifth grade, I ended up taking it from the library. And then, like, I brought it back about, I don't know, maybe 10 years later, or no, it couldn't have been 10 years. Well, whatever. I brought it back before I moved to go to college. And so I was really interested in this story. I had always been kind of a little bit afraid of masks and people's faces if they looked anything different than kind of the normal look. So I remember when I saw Mask as a kid, I was really scared. It was the movie with Eric Stoltz and Cher about the child with the I forget what it was called, but he had a disfiguring condition. And so I think for whatever reason, there was always some intrigue in wondering what his face looked like behind the mask. And then, of course, I heard the music and I really fell in love with that. And so I wanted to watch every version. And so I watched the silent version. I've watched the 1943 version, the 1960s version, the British one, Phantom of the Paradise. Um, I've seen the musical a couple of times. Once in Broadway, once on Broadway, once in Vegas when they did the Vegas show, and then a couple of times in Boston. So I'm really interested in the story. I think it's a really, would I say it's the most, you know, literary? No, I wouldn't say it's that, but I haven't actually read it in the original French. So that's a goal that I have. Whether or not I actually ever do that, who knows? But um, I just find it to be such an interesting story. There's so many ways that you can go about it. You can go in a scarier bent if you want, or you can make it more romantic, like the musical. And it's been something that has really helped me to be more interested in musical theater and opera and voice. Because even though the musical doesn't have a lot of operatic, um, you know, parts per se, it's not an opera. There are parts of the singing that are a little bit more operatic. So it's been something that I've been interested in and really like sort of a passion of mine for like 20 years now. So I'm really hoping to kind of talk a little bit more about that, maybe discuss different versions. We'll see. But it does, in a small way, kind of dovetail with some of my earlier content. Because one of the things that I was really interested in is the way that the different versions translate different words, and how, for example, with the scorpion and a grasshopper, which is a part of the book later on in the book where the Phantom makes Christine make a choice. He says either you push the you twist the grasshopper and it'll blow up, or you choose the scorpion and then you stay with me. There's like a play on the word jump, so I think that's saute or saute in French. And so it's a really interesting thing to think about, and the different ways that you can, um, the different ways that you can express an idea, and how even just changing a few words can really change the feeling of a paragraph, or the way that information is received. So, anyway, we'll see what I end up doing next, but I definitely think that Phantom could be something that I explore further on this channel. So, I hope you have a great evening, and thanks so much for watching this. It's been Alt Lover 85. Take care. Bye.